So we're at the end of this cycle, and that's the bit you have to embed and understand. Power BI development cycles are ongoing. They never stop throughout the life cycle of your report. So we've got this upgrade that we've gone through. We've now pulled everything through for the Northeast Combined Authority, NECA. And we now would start to say, well, what do we next need to do? What else have we got going on? What's happening? So let's go through, see what we've done, see what we think of it all, and more importantly, plan. So here we are, okay, the report that comes tied to the semantic model. Okay, there's no easy way of doing it. It's kind of what do we put on those? So I've kind of put together a suggestion where we've put information about the tables that we've got within the content, a column count of each table. Partly because if you're going through and doing your ETL, or your next development cycle, planning it, prepping it, what's the next step? Column counts is often one that you'll look at, because if you get to the point where you've got a fact table and it's got lots of columns, chances are we've got an issue with it. So I've put that there. We could do other things with it. And I've just put some core metrics in on the left, just in terms of roughly what's going on. So we've got kind of that high level, this is where we are with it. Some nice things on here, haven't we? There's really 1.9 million registered finishers. So that's rows in our fact table, quite literally, isn't it? In terms of completed volunteer sessions, 204,000. Again, those are rows in our fact table that we've got. So there's an awful lot of data now in this model, which is really painful for me because it makes it really difficult for me to say, well, we're not going to do anything with it again. We've got a great set here. It works very well. In terms of what we've done, you can see if we come back through to here, let's go here first. Okay, so we can see if we look at the refresh history, check refresh history, we can see it's being refreshed by the API. So that's all working as we would hope. Okay, nothing's causing problems. If we go through into our flows, we can see what's actually happening here. So if we go to my flows, so what we've got is we've got 3 flows that are effectively running the refresh. Okay, now for this. So we've got the first one, which is triggered when the main pull, the main ETL processing that goes through and builds a spreadsheet for each one, is finished and it writes a line into a log file. Okay, we can do that. As I say, there's a log file line, or you can put something into SharePoint. You can do like SharePoint list, put something in, put meaningful information into it. All of those are options that you can do. Okay, the main thing we want to do is say, right, at the end, now is the time to process. So it finishes it, and it then says, now process. And if we have a look and see, well, what happened, last time it succeeded, it goes through, and what it's doing is it's refreshing the runners and refreshing the volunteers. So we've got 2 data flows, one for runners, one for volunteers. In theory, we could combine the 2. Given that we're in premium per user, which is of course what we are with this, it taking more than 2 hours won't cause it any problems. It'll carry on. But the main issue, the main thing you will find is that the way Power BI or the data flows refresh Excel, although frankly anything refreshes Excel spreadsheets as a source, it's not efficient because you have to process the whole Excel spreadsheet as one. So we're going through and saying, right, for each Excel spreadsheet, pull in and process it. So we've got a function that does everything to each spreadsheet as it goes through. And in terms of the realities of this, if we went back to our report page here, okay, so we're saying 9,872 events, okay, and that was a week ago. So those are each spreadsheet. Obviously, there's a spreadsheet for the runners, there's a spreadsheet for the completion, for the volunteers. So we've got 2 times that, so that's nearly 20,000 already just on that. And then we've got 26 as well for the event history. So there's kind of an awful lot going on with it in terms of number of spreadsheets. So we are very close already to the 20,000 spreadsheet number that's being processed. And I thought, well, trying to do all that in one data flow, not going to be efficient. Okay, again, there's options. We say, oh, we should be moving it, shouldn't be using Excel spreadsheets, we're using a database, doing that. you're not going to get a huge value add of putting a database to one side and then bringing it all into your Azure analysis services, which is fundamentally what Power BI is under the covers. It's your analysis services engine. So, in theory, you might be able to get some better performance out if you looked at it in terms of understanding your direct query connections and what we could do with it. You're getting into that whole next level of complexity though. So for this, Excel spreadsheets are definitely the right thing to store the values in, and when we process them through into a data flow, and then the data flow does something else. Yes, it adds to the refresh time. So the refresh time is taking a couple of hours, but fundamentally, once a week, that can happen overnight. Are we going to get a value add out from a business perspective if we said we're going to shift this to do something else and something more, should we say enterprise? Does that sound more right? Or does that sound correct? But I think the reality of the discussion is enterprise Azure SQL? Or is enterprise what works and is most cost effective? I think the boardroom would generally say what works and is most cost effective. Okay? Anyway, let's go back to these. So this goes through, it refreshes the two of them. We can see from the files or the data flow information what's happened. It is great that you can do this with data flows where you can just go in and see the last statuses. Job number 2 goes through. Okay, what this does is it checks. Okay, so this is going through and it's running a refresh, but we're checking to see, was it successful? So we can see the value that came through. It refreshed successfully. So we can now go and refresh the people piece, which is where we pull together the 2 bits of information. We've got this running on the participation, because if we remember, there's about 200,000 runs and there's nearly 200,000 volunteers, 2 million runners. So the runners is going to take longer. By definition, we know that's going to be the case, and we know that's going to remain the case. So we can leave that. And what it's saying is, was that successful? It would be nice if we could work out, was the other one successful? But this is where we would need to move to doing something else, which we can do. It's just a case of saying, do you want to do it? How far do you want to go? Anyway, okay, we've got that. And then the final one is doing something very similar to that, but what it also does, instead of that, what it does, instead of it refreshing a data flow, going here, it refreshes the parkrun semantic model. Okay, so instead of that, it's refreshing the semantic model. If it's failed or it's not a success, go and refresh the people piece again. So we've got some clear stuff in there. You can see some branching logic that we've put into our Power Automate scripts. Bring it over here. So you can see, did the data flow refresh successfully? Yes or no? There's logic you can put in, true, false statements. There's all sorts of stuff you can do within Power Automate. With all that done, that's our full refresh cycle done. So in terms of what do I have to do, I still trigger the initial refresh manually. Part of that's because we need to run it it runs on a dedicated piece of hardware that I've got. It just goes through and it works. It processes everything through and then triggers the refreshes from the automation. So my piece is really, it's like 2 minutes. I look, see, make sure it's worked. The final step that the server does is it shuts itself down. So then I can kind of see, is the server on or off? If it's off for a few hours, then I know everything's fine. If it's still on, we've got a problem. So in terms of the involvement, it's that manual trigger gets the initial piece going. What we would need to do if we really want to keep scaling this much, much further is probably look to say, well, how can we split the threading up? So we would then, instead of having just a single unit, use multiple nodes to go through and do that processing of the initial pull. Because, we're at 26 events. If we wanted to get to 100, 200, 300, chances are we would probably need to say a node can handle maybe 50 events, just because of the time it takes, because there's no shortcuts. It has to go through a particular way of working. It has to run through and work appropriately. Okay, so that's part 1 of that. But that will carry on. There's a scalability path there for us. So from an enterprise perspective, we could scale. Obviously, it'd be awesome if we could get proper API access from Parkrun, but that's still not on the cards. So we've got that, okay? We've pulled that through, and what I've had to do just because, and it's always been an annoyance of mine that the public reports that we do, we cannot put as we would recommend from an enterprise perspective. So for enterprise, we would say, right, let's come down here. We've got parkrun data, parkrun model, and parkrun visualization. And we would always say, okay, that shouldn't be parkrun visualization if I'm completely honest, okay? That should be, in fact, let's do that. Let's change this, okay? Let's go to workspace settings. I'm going to change this now because I think this is really important. Actually, I'm not going to change it. I tell a lie, I'm not. The reason I'm not going to change it, okay, is because we did this before, right? We discussed this before. What we did before was we had a workspace, our senior leadership team, okay? App workspace, senior leadership team. So we've already got this concept in our model of here's our senior leadership team's report pack that they can see. And we can go through and we can have a look and we can see the app for the senior leadership team. If I can remember where it is, senior leadership team. And we've put lots of New York stuff on there for them. So what we should look to do now would be say, well, let's bring in this parkrun data into here. Okay, and say, well, this is what we're going to do. And we'll put it in here. And then it's available below. So let's go and do that now. So the way we would do that, the way we would do it is we'd get our parkruns report. Okay, this is our NECA parkruns report. So we probably have a better name with all sorts of things that should be better about it. This is what is publicly available. There's a link down below for you to have a look at. One thing I will say is under cards, where we've got the scorecard items, which I will show you as we get through this, it doesn't work with the public reporting. It's really annoying. It doesn't work. Wish it did, because it would be great to be able to show you that and for you to see how that progresses. But you can get the idea that, hey, you can embed scorecard items in here, okay, which is something really important. So we've got this. Okay, so what we can now do is we can say, right, let's publish that. Okay, because what we would do is we would say, like, we're going to put our app area needs to be built around our roles. Yeah, we keep saying that. Okay, work around your roles. So we've now published this to our senior leadership team area. What we then need to do is go through and say, right, what needs to go onto the dashboard? Okay, so what we'll look to do is say, go back to our Power BI here. Okay. Go back to our workspace, our senior leadership team workspace. We can see in this view that we now have parkrun semantic model as a linked model and a report here. Yeah, so we've got linked model and report. What we then look to do is say, well, we've got in our app, we've got the senior leadership team main dashboard. So we're going to, we can open this dashboard. We can start to piece together what we're going to do with it. So we'll open this dashboard. Okay, and one of the things we said was columns, because the mind works or the eye works top to bottom. So we've got this idea here. But the main thing what to say was it doesn't necessarily need to all tie together. Okay. But what we can do is we can say, right, let's piece this in and let's build something that's going to work. Okay, we've got one report at the moment. We'd obviously get to the point where we had 10, 15 reports potentially for each area, all coming up and surfacing here so that it's available to our senior leadership team. And over time, this is where we upgrade it. So let's go to edit this. Okay. I'm going to add a tile. I'm going to add a text box tile. Okay, oh, where's that gone? Disappeared. Right, let me do that again. Edit this, add a tile. Text box tile, write the title. Run report. Focus report. Refresh weekly. Okay. we wanted that as subtitle, wasn't it? There we go. Not up to date, right? Refresh weekly. We could put an external link in. We could link a dashboard or report in the current workspace. Do that. Custom link. This is going to be to our parkruns report. Apply. We're going to put that in here. Okay, I'm just going to put this one wide just for the sake of it, just so I'm not having to move too many things, although you can see it's annoying. You've got to do everything. I'm going to move it all once here, which is why I'm doing it now, just so it's done. Okay, you shuffle these things along. This is one of those, does it work with these tiles? I think it does, but it's one of those where it's not necessarily as intuitive as you would like it to be. Okay, so we've got here. So now we bring in our top level measures, wouldn't we, that we want. So what we would do to do that, the easiest way is to come back to our report pack, to our workspace. Let's go into our report, open the report, and what we want to do is say, right, we're going to pin some of these. Okay. Now the way I've done this, I've hidden headers, so I can't pin them easily, which is one of those things that advise doing it. Okay, but it makes it difficult. You just have to drop into edit mode and you can then pin them to it. So I'm going to pin registered finishers to our senior leadership team. Okay, I'm going to keep the current theme, and I'm going to pin the volunteers to our senior leadership team. And should we pin the average finish time? Okay, senior leadership team. Okay, there we go. Right, so we've got these ready and done that. So if we go to the dashboard, we can see it's put these all down at the bottom. Okay, well, there we go, right. So what we do is we bring these down to this size. Let's put them up there. We probably should use the other thing, shouldn't we? There we go, registered finishers, volunteers. In practical terms, I'd say probably do some other things with these, but you can kind of get the picture. I'm just doing this as a quick solution or a quick view here. We've now got our updated dashboard. So what we can now do, as I say, is if we come back to here and we say, well, let's update the app. So we've got our app. We're sending one link to our senior leadership team. Okay, we can even deploy that automatically to them. We've got the content that we've got within it. So we're going to choose to add content. And we're going to pick that parkrun report. So we're going to add that. Okay, so we've now got that. We can say, well, where do we want it? I want it right here, because it's really important to me that they see it. And again, for the sake of what we're doing, and then obviously update any audience stuff that you need to update. And we can see this is what it looks like. Parkrun reports is currently hidden. We want that to be visible. Okay, I'm going to update. Okay. So that's updating the app. We can now choose to go to the app, and hopefully it's come through. Yeah, everything's there. Okay. What didn't load? These didn't load. Okay, too new. Let's just give it time. This will come through. It will load everything. Yeah, now loading. Okay, and we've got, this is our updated dashboard for it. So for my senior leadership team, which is the most important thing, this is what we need to really ground in people's minds. Our development cycle, we've upgraded, we've done a lot of stuff behind the scenes, but all they're going to see is, this is what we've got in our report pack. This is what we see. Okay, and we've got the idea where they can go to the parkruns report. They can see that information. We could write the report content, surface more of this actually on that dashboard. We could even put in a separate dashboard for them. Again, there's lots of stuff that we do because we share this publicly that's just not what we would look to do professionally. Okay, so multiple small reports is the way to go. If I went into the scorecard, let's say it would load. We would see, right, this is the scorecard items that we've got. This is the progression that we've got going through. So we want to get to 2.2 million. We can see the progression. It's tracking through. Over time, hopefully, this will get better. This could be your initiatives that you've got through. So your continual service improvement activities, your continual improvement activities, put metrics together with them, track it. Okay. Remember, this is all automatic. There's nothing I'm having to do to track these. We've got here, all of these I've broken down. So we can see the events that we've got, a record of all the events by each area. And again, over time, that'll increase. We can do other items. So we've got all finishers, which remember is all finishers. We can see we've got registered finishers and we've got volunteers. Everything is there. And we can then go straight from here, this is where it's really nice. Okay, because remember, my senior leadership team have come in, they've gone to here. We can open it in the service. So we haven't had to tell them more items or more things to do. And they can see what they mean. They can see everything that they need to see from this. Go back to our app. Okay, if we look at these, we can see I can look at notes. So what's happened? Who's put stuff in? What's going on with it? Out of the way, yeah? Okay. And this is one of those areas, this is vital with these, and this is the core part that will bring you success, okay? Is we can see comments over time with this. So we've got the details here. I can put in a check-in, because it's my metric. That's why I can do it. I can add a note to it, and we can put stuff in. So there's lots of things that we will do, or we can do with these, that extend and make metrics much, much more powerful than they initially appear. You know, you look at this when it's first built in, and we'll show you, let's do it now, because it's one of those areas we need to do. When you first put in a scorecard, if we go to metrics, create a new scorecard. Okay, so we're going to create new demo. Right, so let's go to Newcastle. I'm going to go away. Oh my goodness, it's just, let's say for the sake of argument, we're going to use, I think it's a scorecard, isn't it? We used, yeah, set to use. So if we came through here, and this is one I set up with KPIs, it's a nice report page, okay, just looks at the event dates for it. Okay, so we can say, compare, the idea of this was we want to compare the one that's just been with the one before, okay, because that seems to be, you know, over time, what's going on. So as a basic level, we could turn around and say, right, we're going to look at this with Newcastle, or we can say, well, let's just look at last all, connect, okay, and the challenge that you get with this, if we hit save, okay, and this is, I think, the bit that upsets everyone, is the trend is blank. There's nothing really here. We've got a dot. And they look, really, that doesn't make any sense to me. Where they start to make sense is when you get back to it. Let's go back to here. Okay, and we look at, say, this one, which is from a long, long time ago. So here's the core. This is actually looking at those metrics, looking at them. We can see, all right, okay, we had 5,000 people last week did it. So 5,014. We've got hierarchy in here. So we can look and we can say, well, actually, I want to see for Newcastle. How many people did it in Newcastle? And it'll take a while. It's not instant. But it'll come back and it'll say, all right, okay, it was 1,000. And we lose the trend because of the way these hierarchies work. It's interesting to see. Okay. But we've got to that point, haven't we, where we can understand far more about everything that's going on because we've got hierarchies, we've got the way this pieces together. We've got logic put in place with these, and we can change these names as well. So at the moment we're saying it's on track or it's behind, based on is it going up or is it going down, is it staying within a logical window? And we can see what we mean by that. So if we go through here, we hit edit, we can update the rules, we can see. So if it's over 90%, it's on target, we've got it at risk or at this, but we've got values there. So what we can do, because we have values, is we can actually, in the settings of the scorecard, we've got statuses. So we can change these to say on track or to be something else. Okay, so as expected, or those kind of things. But these can be very specific to your scorecard. So you're not locked into whatever they've got. Yeah, it can be something that relates to your business. So we've built an upgraded report pack. Okay, we've gone through, we've brought in a new local authority. In terms of doing it, all we've had to do is upgrade or update the SharePoint list that runs everything. That list is updated. We put the folders in for the files to be received. Again, that's just how it is. We don't have to do that. In theory, we could have switched to using the parkrun name as part of the file name and have them all just in one folder. That would work. Again, that would save us time. Maybe that's a future continuous improvement item that we should look at doing. In terms of if we do that, it saves us the time and legwork from add a folder for each event. Nothing wrong with it. Okay. And again, it ties back to we've got one SharePoint list that runs everything then, haven't we? There's not this piece where we've got to do more work with it. We've got an issue that's ongoing and it hasn't been fixed yet because it initially popped up a couple of times during the bigger refreshes, which is if an event doesn't have volunteers, it breaks the pull. We've had it come up a couple of times with currently where somebody's just there's been a gap between them processing results and processing the volunteers, and it's happened to coincide when the refreshes run. Again, is that an issue? Is it a huge one? It's one we should look to fix. How many times it happened? Not a huge amount of time, but it's an annoyance. It should be fixed. So that's a fix that we need to do. So we're building up this list of these are what needs to be fixed. We've got junior events as well, which potentially be nice to bring in junior events, but there's some guidance that Parkrun want you to do around specifically with juniors. But that should, in my mind, we should push that further up. So we need to work out a way of processing juniors so that we can get some of the works. So we'd look to probably use first name, and then should we use their Parkrun ID? Should we put that in? Would that be enough? Should we be deleting characters from it, or asterisking out characters within the ID? It needs to be something that you can identify as, oh, well, that's my child, or that's me. But yeah, so you kind of work through the way most people are doing it. I've had a check is if you go with the first name and then the parkrun ID, so we can do that. So what we should do is say, well, in the event that you are in the juniors classification, we will change it. The challenge with that is it means we need to put the age classification through into, or your max age classification into the people table, because it would be your maximum, shouldn't it? Because if you think if I started running as a junior and then I could become an adult, or go through senior and eventually the veteran, I don't want quite have my name to be there. So it becomes we need to think about is the thing, and that's where there's some work to do on that. We've got a lot of junior events. It'd be nice to bring those all through into this data set and then have it work through where these are juniors, so you don't see these are seniors and veterans, so that's fine. So it'd be the under 18s. We would say, well, so should it be under 18s? Should it be a case of going, well, you're in 16 plus group? See, these are the discussions that go on in a business, isn't it? Where we start to work through. So we've got these jobs that we need to do. Some of them are going to be technical or have technical challenges behind them. Others don't. The advantage of if we say with this junior piece, work that out, what it also solves is the issue at the moment where I've got the coding for, I want to filter to people with, we're using for some of the stuff for on the main page, the gender filters. Sometimes we're having to use a gender filter on the people table just because it's quicker, and trying to do it longer against the 2 million rows, and bearing in mind the way it filters, goes through, and the filters roll back and forth. It's a challenge that potentially we'd end up with filter conflicts and duplication. So it's it's a gotcha. It's a way it was from the early stages. We had gender at that table level. It made, we've got it there, but we really, gender should come from the age category, because that's really what gender comes from, which is then that's tied to the event, because over time you go up through the age categories. It's the point. And the realities of when the gender changes, it's minimal. It's kind of But you can see these are where you get into those data questions and data queries, which is a different level to, oh, well, I want to do this, I want to do that. Yeah. Okay. So I hope you've enjoyed that series. We've done an awful lot. We've also shown you that this never stops. Okay, this will carry on. We will keep working, keep updating, keep upgrading potentially if this becomes okay. Oh, what about Middlesbrough? What about this? What about London? We could do a London boroughs one. There's lots of things we could do with this. It's not an issue. This structure is portable. It's reusable. It's just kind of a lift and shift structure now, the way it's built, which is perfect. So we've got an enterprise grade solution now that works for everybody, but that doesn't deal with it. That's the technical. The business logic side is the piece that we're now struggling with, not struggling with, but we're wrestling with, and those never stop. One of the things that we talk about as developers, or I always talk about with people I'm training, is if you're doing a good job, okay, if you are doing a good job as a developer, you need to get used to that. Oh, that's really great, but, okay, because every time you deliver something, your clients, your end users will say, oh, that's really good, but it's now shown me, or I need to know more about. And that, I think, is what we're going to focus on in the next series that we're going to do. So one of the things I want you to do, okay, is tell me, okay, should we use the parkrun data going forward for that? Okay, bear in mind, we're going to do a business user only experience. Okay, so I want to build this. I'm going to stop using my account with it. We're going to create a new account, business user account. So as a business user, no admin access to the data set. I will have build access to it, because I think that's what we need to kind of show, is with app access and build access, what can I do? But I think it's important that you see this is what a user would see, because we're not seeing that enough in the content. Okay, so let me know down below. Do you want us to keep using the parkrun data set, which on the plus side is nice and rich, and there's lots of data in there, there's lots of options that we can go through and explore, okay, as a user? Or should we look and say, right, let's use one of the other ones that we've got. Probably might have to be the England food hygiene. There's the New York water tower inspections we could use. I haven't used that for a while. And I'm not sure what other ones might be of value for this. But I think, if I'm being 100% honest, it's probably the parkruns one, which is really annoying because I really wanted to stop doing anything with it. But as I say, let me know down below what you think. If there's another data set you've seen us use, we could use that. It's not an issue. Just let me know. I think obviously for me, I really don't want to do any of the ones that Microsoft use in their demos, because they're overused, and I think there's not a value add from us doing more with them. So you now know what we're going to do next. Okay, let me know. So for now though, stay safe, take care, ta-da.